Meadows anyway? Meadows,
and Camarga.
okay, I got to get the names right. But let's back it up a little bit. You know, I knew his family's been here a long time. I knew he was very involved in public service as well as our industry and others. I was asking Aaron about his family. They actually settled here in the late 1800s. That's a big deal. Was it great?
I guess it would be probably my great grandmother. Probably was the first.
Aaron got into public service in 1993. What position did you hold there?
I was on Oakley Municipal Advisory Council, predecessor to Oakley City Council. So I was on there until June 30th, 99. July 1 of 99, Oakley became a city.
Then 2020, you joined the formal Oakley City Council.
Correct.
Right. And then in 2022, he was sworn in as mayor of Oakley. And today he's here to talk to us about the development of Oakley and how it's going to impact our industry and living here in East County. Thank you, Aaron, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Aaron, we get bragging rights for one other thing too. July 1.
July 1, I'll be president of the Oakley Rotary Club.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Peggy.
Sorry, technical stuff here.
We'll wait a second.
Weren't you also president of the Builders Association?
2007. Well, yeah, if you look at the whole picture that I used for 15 years, I finally updated the picture.
So shame on the host for not getting a better resume. The man's brilliant.
So, yeah, I was president of DAR in 2007. I serve currently on the LGR committee and have served on the LGR committee for probably 20 years. Local government relations. So I've been involved politically one way or another for pretty much my whole life. My father was really the start when he was elected to local office in the mid-1970s. I grew up around it. It takes a while to come in.
No, it's because your sound is on.
So, thank you for coming today. We'll take questions at the end. So if you have questions, you can write them down, and then we'll take them at the end. So, some city updates. I took office December of 2020. That's tough. I took office in December 2020. Obviously, we were in the middle of COVID and things were a little different. All duties that I ever had were always provided. That's important to me. Soon thereafter, taking office, our city manager decided we had 3 members on the council. Our city manager at that time decided to look elsewhere for work, which really is a blessing. And he'd been there 15 years. He'd done a lot of good things, but it was a blessing at that point. We should have done a strategic plan early 2001, but because of the transition and the changes, that didn't happen. In May of 2021, we appointed an interim city manager, which we did end up hiring permanently in so in 22, spring of 22, we started with working on our strategic plan, which we adopted in 22. And all the new members of the council wanted their vision heard. And that's what we did there. The 5-year plan, this last spring, late winter. We did open it up for the 2 new council members we have for their input. So it's nothing really changed, but we do have a
This is stable. We have
Our goal is-
our reserves are for
I don't know the exact number, but it's over 30, and I think it's pushing close to the 40% reserves. So we're in a strong financial position, which is great considering that Oakley really, revenue-wise, is a somewhat poor city. When we become a city,
the county and Oakley had to negotiate a tax split on the property taxes, and we got a small percentage compared to our neighboring cities. So we, considering all that, we've done well. One of the things that, if you paid attention to the 2020 election in Oakley, a lot of people were pushing for a planning commission. Some of the other candidates that ran on that issue. It wasn't one that I ran on, but I wasn't going to die on the hill to have a planning commission. There's positives and negatives. Really positives to me. I have to put in less time. You got a planning commission doing a lot of the work that I was doing, or the council's having to do. And then a negative I see with the planning commission is, I mean, if you guys don't like the decision, you can't recall me. We have a planning commission now. I guess we have citizens lab. I'm taking, I didn't do the slides, city staff did. I guess, surveys. So, we have, I guess, a new community engagement platform. I do know we're working on, again, a plan for our 55-acre park that we have. The park is located at the north end of Sellers Avenue. And there's been a couple previous attempts at between the end of Sellers and the Delta. And there's been a couple previous attempts to put a design in place. The last one in my mind was everybody had their 100 ideas. They all got thrown on the paper, and the city tried to accommodate everybody. And to me, when you accommodate everybody's idea, the whole park is failure. You're not going to do anything well. In my opinion, and my one vote on our council, for the most part, I want to see athletic fields. You know, kind of my background, and my kids have gone through sport, but hopefully it's a young community. The other thing is by building these athletic fields, we can bring in tournaments from outside. So tourism. And I'm just, has nothing to do with Oakley, but I mentioned that tourism factor. When COVID hit in 2020, it was a massive amount of money that the city of San Diego lost to tourism. And I want to say it was like at least $250 million. So being able to have those facilities to support potential tourism. So we're working on a redesign of that park. I believe at the end of the month, at the beginning of June, we're going to have another workshop so the public can come and do there. Economic development. So when I ran in 2020, my two major issues, and they go together. In my mind, they go together. Public safety and it's economic development. If you don't have public safety, if you don't have strong police force, you're not going to get people wanting to come to your city. And I mean, not to beat up on some of the neighboring cities, but I mean, we're standing in one right where I'm standing. You're sitting in one right now that has some public safety issues, and it affects the home values. It affects the commercial property. So it's very important to me to have a strong police force. Obviously, we had an issue in all East across the county, parties across the county with fire. In the 2020 election, we passed Measure X, county passed Measure X, which has allowed East Contra Costa Fire to merge into Contra Costa Fire. And I don't know if you're aware of that. aware of the ramifications, but 2 years ago, looking at that, there was a fire on Left Island, a top fire on Left Island, pretty much very brief stuff, because there was no coverage. It took a massive amount of time to get first and second, third, long time. This is a fight. A year ago, June 1st, Station 95 was opened up, which was at the corner of Left Island Road and Cypress. Did that happen? And then July. Emerging the conflict. Because of that, we have much greater coverage out here. And recently, and I know three didn't work. One worked. So it's huge benefit. Also, Contra Fire has now put a ladder truck in station 92 on Balfour. So there's two pieces of equipment in there. That ladder truck will eventually be moved to the station 90 that will be built behind Pioneer Elementary. So another thing I ran on is economic development. And if we're not growing our business base, especially like in Oakley, because we have a low property tax split. We need sales tax dollars. The property tax dollars coming off commercial property. These are jobs all in your life, but we need those jobs here locally. And I mentioned that I served on LGR for 20 years. And also on the now LCRC, PAC running for candidates. In all that time, or a lot of that time, we tried to promote, and I don't know, Les is always listened, but working regionally on economic development, because we've done some great things at Oakley Logistics Center. But that logistics center in Oakley that helps us, it also helps Antioch, and it helps Brentwood and Pittsburgh and Discovery Bay because it's providing jobs. So it's something that I've tried to push being a council member. I'm pro development, I'm pro commercial development. I don't have a slide on it, but we did approve the grant of some of the neighbors, but McDonald's and Quick Car Wash at Laurel Plaza, that is at the corner of Laurel and O'Hara. I've always been supporting the project for 2 years. I was minority. I was such a minority. I lost 41 votes. But I believe it's important. I believe it's important. One, bring those businesses in. Also, when we voted project down and when we work on redoing a commercial zoning ordinance, it sends a message out to the development community, the commercial development communities, and it's a very small community. Our economic development director ended up at ICSC in Monterey. I guess it was probably last spring, and head of real estate for Safeway came up to her and said, I heard you guys are killing commercial development now. And Safeway, if you don't know, has had a piece of property at the northeast corner of O'Hara and Laurel for probably 20+ years also. And so that's the message that was there, that was sent to Safeway, but it was sent to the developers at ICSC. And then it makes it harder for us to bring in additional commercial development. So we have recently developed a retail and industrial revitalization grant program.
businesses can get up to $50,000 in grant money for tenant improvements or facade improvements. So we have that available. I know, last time I saw, I think we have 11 applications, so I don't know how much money will be left, but it's available. We've initiated a economic development work plan. So at the end of last year, we voted to hire a consulting firm to work on a economic development plan for Oakley. They presented to us once. So obviously we have the logistics center and we have the waterfront to the north of it. And that's something they're looking at. How do we increase business in those areas? We also have south all the way to Oakley Road. So we're looking at how do we bring in light industrial users, jobs. They'll also look at our downtown a little bit and our retail development. Retail development is important, and historically, that's what the city's always pushed for because of sales tax dollars. They got a lot of revenue off sales tax. Walnut Creek has done what they've done, and has the budget that they do because all the retail is in Walnut Creek. The problem with retail, and it started pre-COVID, but COVID accelerated the decline in retail. We don't need the same amount of retail space today as we did 5 years ago. And you look at Target, Target there at Flat Ranch, look at all the pickup spots. And in a way, that store becomes a warehouse. They package the goods up and I don't go there. However you let them know you're there, they'll bring it up to you, right? So it's a warehouse. So retail is definitely changing. And I'm not going to say East County's overbuilt, but I know in other areas of the Bay Area, they're having a really hard time filling space. A lot of vacancy. The other sector, unfortunately, Oakley doesn't have an issue with it, is vacant office space, because we just don't have it. There's very little to choose from there, but office is getting crushed, and the worst hasn't come. Because of COVID, we also received ARPA funds, federal funds. Oakley received a little over $10 million. We've allocated, I believe, a little over 5 million of it. So some of that is help with the grant program, the work plan. We're also trying to promote tourism off the Delta. Next year, so in the 24 calendar year, I believe right now we have 24. We have 4 fishing tournaments booked. So far this year, we've somewhat done 2. They're like right now launching out of Russo's, but we're trying to change that. I believe we have 1 or 2 coming still this year. So we're trying to promote the access to the Delta from Oakley. And again, that goes back to my comment on the ball field. It brings in. So I spoke at a tournament a couple of weeks ago. There was, I think it was 70 boats registered, 2 people per boat. I mean, so it's bringing the money. They're staying in the hotels, they're buying gas, they're buying food. Talking to the director, he was working out at the gym, so he's spending money there. It's bring those people into positive. Oakley, historically, I think the previous city manager wanted to be a real estate developer. My opinion, but we ended up with we ended up with land, we ended up with building. We're in the process of disposing of a lot of that. This last year, we agreed to sell 4 lots on Teakwood for low-income housing to Yellow Roof Foundation, which is the Nova Homes, their foundation. So we are disposing of those lots. Scipollini's is under contract to the owner of Scipollini's.
We just got rid of what was called the White House or the old Women's Club on Second Street, Second and Acme in downtown. Julie Del Barbara bought that. So we're trying to get rid of some of the properties we have and put them into private hands to hopefully re-energize the properties. And then we've done small business classes. We have a partnership with LMC where we'll do classes, and then the city economic development department has run some small business classes also. I know I attended one with lenders. They've had, I think, 3 or 4 other ones. And then we had at least one of those presentations on establishing nonprofit. I guess I jumped the slide, but the slide's talking about the partnership with LMC. So we host a series of 9 classes or 9 workshops at no cost to anyone, but not just Oakley residents, but anyone. So this is a Oakley or Contra Costa Logistics Center. It was originally called Oakley, changed the name to Contra Costa. This is on the old DuPont site, which is on the east side of Bridgehead Road. And right here is Wilbur and 160. So this it's a 5-building complex. It's approximately 2 million square feet of space. Approximately, it's Class A light industrial space used for warehouse distribution, e-commerce, and light manufacturing. I don't think there's any light manufacturing. And there's approximately 1,800 jobs off that site. This is PAC Pacific something distribution. That's Pet Food Express. And the 3 buildings there are, you can see the blue trucks, but they're all Amazon. And I'm not sure about this building behind Pet Food Express. Amazon might have had some of it. Wow, right on time, Scott. I had to because he gives me a bad time down. So this is a great project for Oakley. I don't know if you saw it in the news probably 6 months ago, local news. When every year the county will let us know what our property tax split is that's coming up, and how much the dollars went up from the previous year or down. And Oakley for the 22-23 fiscal year, our property taxes increased over 16%. That was the biggest increase of anybody in the town. We had a lot of new homes sold. We had resales that pushed the pricing up. And within the city staff, I don't think they really thought of it, but this project was coming online, or some of it was already on the tax rolls completed. And I think this really kicked our property taxes up. So if you look up to the top of those buildings, there's a little bit of land in between that last building and then Big Break Road. There's been talk about extending the logistics center to the east to Big Break Road. And you can't see it on the slide, but on the south side is the train tracks. And between the BNSF tracks and Main Street, we've also talked to potential developers to build something like this. So we're in talks to add to the logistics center. We'll just see where that goes, but hopefully we can pull it off. So this is a map of our downtown, part of our downtown area. Over on the left-hand side there, and at the top, is where Ace Hardware is. And then grocery outlet down on the bottom. This building is the new Oakley Mercantile Building. It's under construction. The building itself should be done in July. Waiting on switchgear, my understanding. Looking like probably it's 10,000 square foot building, probably mostly going to be restaurant type uses. There's parking lots labeled up above it, and you can see the road. It says Journey Way and Newman Way. Those parking lots and the road are under construction right now, and should be completed by the end of this year. This is O'Hara Avenue here. It'll continue up north to the tracks. And then right here is Second Street. Second Street will become Journey Way and tie into the back parking lots. That big purple line is a train platform. So City of Oakley has worked with San Joaquin, JPA, runs trains for years. And that is a platform that will be built for Amtrak. San Joaquin JPA is the one building it. It's not the City of Oakley's funds. That should get under construction at the end of this year to the beginning of 2025 or 24. Probably take a year to complete. When that happens, when that opens, the Amtrak station in Antioch will be decommissioned, and this will be the Amtrak station in East County. Some people like it. Some people have issues with it. They're fearful that it's going to bring in an undesirable element. So that's what we're doing downtown in that area. The big parking lot and the roads is about a $6.5 million project. This slide was thrown in there. This is the Tri-Delta Transit Park and Ride lot on the north side of Main Street, west of Cypress. If you ever need to park and meet people and like carpool, it's a great place to go because it's, I think I've counted 10 cars in there at the most. Part of the problem with this lot, in my opinion, is that this was planned pre-COVID. And so it was built during COVID and the world changed. And we have more residents in Oakley today than we did January 1 of 2020, but they're not commuting the same ways they did before. So, and this lot was not built with Oakley funds. It was built, it's paid for by Tri-Delta Transit. Positives for Oakley is we got the Main Street redone in that section. This is the 55-acre park that I was talking about. This is one of the old plans. You see the ball fields there. I mean, I'm in support of the ball fields. More if we can get them in there. On this side, we talked about some kind of launch ramp, boats, maybe running fast tournaments out of there, and maybe like launching for kayaks, that kind of stuff. That is at the north end of Sellers Avenue.
Do you know how deep that portion of water is?
I do not.
So is that what like the dairy farms and stuff for?
Yeah, it's in that area. Nah, I don't think that one was Emerson. Emerson was next door. This is Twin Oaks Senior Apartments that was just built on Main Street in Oakley. Over here is Lucky's. 130 affordable senior apartments. They have almost 5,700 square feet of commercial space. I mean, that was always the idea. You bring in some commercial space with the apartments, you get some that mixed use. I think they're going to have a hard time filling it. The commercial, because the apartments are filled. The commercial space, I think, will be a little tougher because of just the world we're in today. East Cypress Road. So obviously we've heard the complaints from people out there in Bethel Island and people out in East Cypress about driving East Cypress Road. And the council is more than aware. And I mean, this council has been proactive. Things don't happen overnight, but we are taking action. Kind of a minor item, if you guys just won't see it. But I mean, we've had wrecks out there. We've got some bad wrecks out there, and if it's a fatality, they got to shut the road down. And then it could take hours to document the scene, the accident. Last year, we went and spent $100,000 on a camera, and to me, it's kind of along the lines of like a Matterport, but more expensive. We can document that accident scene in definitely under 2 hours, but probably around an hour now. So it's helped us be able to open up accident scenes quicker. And so the positive out there is it's less time that Matt has to spend on Dutch Slough Road or driving over Levy down Sand Mound to get out if there's an emergency. So in the last year, we let a contract for, I think it was $9+ million to redo East Cypress Road from Knightson Avenue to the west side of the canal. On the east side of the canal is a development being done by TI Capital. It's 3,200 unit development. They're responsible for East Cypress Road from where we leave off on the west side of the canal to Bethel Island Road. My opinion, they have been moving at glacier pace on their project, which I don't, I mean, I don't want to say I don't care how fast they move because there's positives to the development, but I do care on how fast they're moving on the road. And we are trying to get it where we take over. They give us the right of way to the road. They give us the land. They give us all the plans they've done to date. And then we go build it. And so that's what we're trying to work through right now. We're not there. Don't go and quote anybody. We're not there, but that is what we're trying to push towards. So, yeah. We'll do it however we have to. We've initiated eminent domain.
When you say the canal, is that the Jersey Island Road?
No, it's Contra Costa Water District Canal.
Yeah, but is that where Jersey Island Road is alongside of it?
Man, I don't know. You live here longer than I have.
I did, yes.
I don't. It's right in that area. I think Jersey Island is on the other side, actually.
Under the road, I think that takes you to Jersey Island, but
Jersey Island Road, though, is on the other side of the canal. It's on the east side of the canal, I believe. So, okay. And Jersey Island Road is also an issue in part of all this because that intersection will have to be signalized and improved. I mean, you've been on Jersey Island Road, Dan. I mean, it's pretty bad.
What about extending?
So I'm gonna hold the questions to the end.
questions of you.
And so that's why Rob and Alex provided. Yeah, and so I don't have a time frame on it. I was on a call with the developer yesterday, trying to get them to turn it over to us. They sent us a crappy proposal. They said they wanted, if we go to do it instead of them, they wanted us to have it done in a year from now. It's not realistic. It's not just, there's permitting that we have to have done with Contra Costa Water District because of the canal, Bureau of Reclamation, the feds, reclamation, I think 799 because of levies that tie into it. So the permitting to get the road started is probably a year's process. But we are working on it. So I didn't prepare the slides. They were done for another presentation.
I didn't prepare them either.
Yeah. So they threw in one subdivision. I mean, we have. This one is, I think, a Signature Homes off of Main Street into Honey Lane. They're probably getting close to closing it out. It looks like stuff is being built on the Honey Lane side now. We also had a subdivision getting close to being closed out by Meredith Homes west of Rayleigh's on Main Street. They finished one last year on Oakley Road. Sino and or Discovery are building homes between Rose Avenue and O'Hara. Jackie Sino is doing homes at Mayoral and Oakley Road. KB has a project at the corner of East Cypress and Sellers. And then DeNova Homes is moving dirt out there, Summer Lakes North, which there'll be a picture, but and they'll probably start building homes in probably 9 months. Those are the active projects that I'm aware of right now in Oakley. We're also, there's apartments being built on Elm Lane, which there's a slide of. There's the dirt being moved at Summer Lakes North. It's 817 homes right now, maybe grow. They have submitted for design review, had design review approved by the Planning Commission, 5 architectural types. The home sizes will range from 1927 to almost 3,500 square feet. If you go out there, you can see, I'm not saying the levees are done, but I mean, they look pretty substantially done. This is the Elm Lane Apartments, up against between Elm Lane and Highway 160, 170, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, affordable apartment community. So, thank you. Hey, Patrick, I'll take questions now.
Sure.
What? Do you have a question, Patrick?
I just wondered what the extension of that line road is. Does that take for, connecting
Delta.
to Delta?
Delta Mountain Highway. It's in the plan right now. We'll see if it happens. So, that's a lot of like go to Rocksville. What's that?
Look like they're only the dirt loss.
That dirt down on that south side is being moved for a different reason, and I'm not sure why. And then if you look along the canal line, Contra Costa Water District is doing work down through the canal. So I think that has to do with what you see.
Yes, I was just gonna say, great job on the development for the city. With all these new homes though, can you give us some insight on the schools?
I'm not over the schools. That's a school, Oakley School District and Liberty Unified School District. We have nothing to do with them. There's a couple things that I did want to mention that I left out. I'm sorry, I just don't know. Oakley has a little over 100 employees. That includes the police department. We have hired, she hasn't started yet, but we've hired an HR technician. That is going to put us at 100% on the miscellaneous employees or the non-police department employees. So she'll start the end of this month. That side of the city will be 100% occupied or staffed. Thank you. Our police department, we are authorized for 40 officers. And you pay attention like Antioch, there's authorization numbers and then what they're actually at. We're authorized for 40. Today we sit at 38 officers on the books. Officer 39 is sworn in, I believe it's next Monday. Officer 40, if everything goes according to plan, will be sworn in early June. Starting July 1, based on the budget, we'll probably adopt. And then the way the council wants to go, majority of the whole council wants to go is, we're looking at over hiring in our police department. We have, I think it's 3 or 4 officers that are out on worker comp. Probably won't come back. So we want to overhire so that when they leave the employ, that we have somebody to backfill. We have a waiting list right now for officers, and after July 1, we will start working on overhiring and going to 42 on an overhire, authorized for 40, but we're going to overhire to 42. In our 23-24 budget, that'll be adopted next month. As if it gets adopted as planned, we plan on going to an authorization of 41 officers. The 41st officer is planned to be hired January 1 of 24. So Oakley basically is fully staffed. And that's huge because I sit on some regional committees, and it was interesting. I'm on MCE, which used to be Marin Clean Energy. If you live in Oakley or Pittsburgh or unincorporated areas, you see it potentially on your PG&E bill. There was a question, we were doing our budget for MCE, and there was a question asked of the executive director, what's our staffing levels? And she said, now we might have 1% vacancy. And this came from what you would all assume is probably the premier city in Contra Costa County. The question came from Walnut Creek. She's like, wow, because we're nowhere near that. And that's Walnut Creek. Oakley is basically 100% staff. So, Peggy.
Is there any chance of renegotiating with the county on the taxes?
Did you hear the question? Yeah. I'm not laughing at you, Peggy. They want more money from us. So the Bethel Island Bridge was built by the county to serve Bethel Island. And they want Oakley because it was part of the development agreements way, way back when. They want $2.7 million from Oakley to pay for the bridge. So to answer your question now, they're not. They haven't appeared to me to be willing partners in a lot. It was brought up about Bethel Island Road tying into Byron Highway at Delta Road. South of Rock Slough to Byron Highway, Delta Road. That's in unincorporated Contra Costa County. We have to work with the county to build that road. Basically, we've approved the contract for design. But we would have to go to eminent domain on that. There, years and years, probably 40 years ago, there was dedication when the parcels were split. There was dedication of a roadway. The county never accepted that dedication because it's so old. It's basically not legit now. So we have to go back, and we would have to potentially do eminent domain to get that dedication to build that road. They just aren't willing to work at the same speed we are, and to me, less than cooperative. So, Mark,
I heard you're building another fire station, right? Okay.
No, that's in Brentwood.
Oh, that's a problem. So how many?
That's in Brentwood to the east of Pioneer Elementary School.
Oh, okay. How many fire brands?
In Oakley, we have 2. Brentwood, we have 1. Yeah, it's only Alpha, right? There's 2, basically 2 stations that will be housed in that one station right now. 92 and 90, which is the ladder truck, or opposite.
I had 2 questions. So,
Yes, it was demoed in the last 3 months. And there's plans to open, I think that's station 54, and there's plans to rebuild that. Probably, yeah. Probably in the next 3 years. It's actually gonna be a 2-story station. Patrick? Are you going, you had another question, Manny?
Yeah, the second question is there a requirement for a certain number of residents that potentially would require to have a station?
That would be Contra Costa Fire. And the next stations that will be opened will be in Brentwood. And it doesn't necessarily matter where the station is located. I mean, they could be, they serve the community. They don't just serve Oakley. So station 93 and 95 don't just stay in the boundaries of Oakley. You know, 95 is going to Bethel Island. You know, they'd be the primary one in, you know, but they flow wherever needed. You know, if there's a major fire in Brentwood, 93, 95 would be there. So you can't, I mean, and if we have big incidents, I mean, and even if it's just a single house fire, Contra Costa Fire goes all the way into Panola now. Equipment starts moving to the east. If it's a big issue, I mean, you know, we've had stuff come in from other areas, Tracy, other fire departments.
So I got a question. My understanding is that CAL FIRE and EMS together.
So I'm not aware of CAL FIRE and whoever. All engines in all engines in Contra Costa Fire Protection District have paramedic on board. So you have those questions.
I have a comment, just because, you know, there's only one station, right? That in the last few years, I've
In
had,
Brentwood?
but yeah, and in the last few years, I know a house in Oakley, they have paramedics there within minutes. And I've had, unfortunately, over the last couple of years, I had a couple of times around my house and I had them there in minutes. And I had a house out almost to Briones Way that I had listed, and he caught the field on fire, you know, in the middle of the afternoon, and they got there plenty of time, saved the house, no problem. And that's, that's probably 15 minutes from the fire station, right? But they got there quick. So I haven't seen any real-time issues, you know, and I've seen lots of where they're handling it. So it's a little scary to think that we're so low, but they seem to be handling it. So that's good.
A year ago, the situation was a lot different. 95 on East Cypress, Bethel Island Road was not open. I mean, and I can be sarcastic, but and I kind of was talking to Matt there about one house burned up Bethel Island for reach, but it was kind of the truth. Just because, yeah, it was just there wasn't enough personnel to respond, and it took so long to move them in. So for like Bethel Island, Station 95 opening up was huge. You know, in that year's time, you know, we've added that extra piece of equipment in Brentwood. You know, station probably within 3 to 5 years, the station at Pioneer and the station at downtown will be reopened. So those are all positives with the fire department. And Contra Costa Fire just has a lot more resources than East Contra Costa ever could. Now,
2 questions. Laurel Road to Sellers, that's supposed to be in the works too, right? Through a development there or something over the railroad tracks.
Laurel Road to Sellers has to go over the BNSF tracks, which is a $30-40 million project to get it over the tracks. There is a project plan by Meritage to the south of what would be Laurel, tying in to Sellers. So they'll have to dedicate still part of the road. But that project is years down the road. It's years down the road. And I also serve on Contra Costa Transportation Authority, CCTA. But I talked to the executive director about it, trying to find funding to get that over.
And then Jersey Island, I mean, you and I have talked about this. If you see something in the paper every now and then, it almost seems like it's, I don't want to say comical, but is there even, if people are just doing something to do something?
So Jersey Island Jersey Island is owned by Iron House Sanitary District. We bought by them in the early nineties. And the purpose at the time was to have a place for Iron House to discharge wastewater. Because it couldn't really put it into the river. And so, and you couldn't put it in the river based on their plant at the time. It wasn't much of a plant. And so it was bought to discharge water on the Jersey. And from that, Jersey was then, it was always farmed, but it was continued to be farmed, more heavily farmed. Iron House ended up in the cattle business there. They were a member of the Cattle Association or whatever. The only sanitary district, I think, in the United States, to be a member of the Cattle Association. They farmed it. When that new plant was built, it was but it was kind of forward thinking too, in that it was a way to get rid of the water. So when that new plant was built, they could, because the water was cleaned up, the wastewater was cleaned up so much it could be discharged into the river. So Jersey Island really wasn't needed. They've gotten rid of the cattle, it's now being leased. With all the farming being done by outside sources now. I don't know where they came up with the idea to develop it. I've seen the plan. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, we're supposed to, they provide our sewer. Special district providing our sewer in Oakley. I mean, they want Oakley to process this development, potential development. They really haven't talked to us. As a council member, they came and talked to me one time, and it's probably almost 2 years ago. So the plan I've seen, I don't really have issues with it. I mean, there's some things that have to be worked out, but they've talked about like 450 homes on the island, on the levees, hotel out there, potentially athletic fields, wave pool, like a Safari West type situation. If you look at a map, most of the island will stay open space. It's just they got to do some of that other stuff to pay for it. Jersey Island, I'm told by Iron House that to maintain the levees is about $1 million a year, I believe. That's an issue there with Jersey Island. Maggie.
How about on Sandmound, all the way down, we started that development and it's kind of fenced off. What's happening with that?
Fortunately, Sandmound didn't want to come into Oakley, so that's under the county.
Do you know anything about?
I don't know anything about it. Sandmound is not in Oakley, neither is Dutch Slough, which way back in the early 2000s, Oakley was looking at annex all that land that's being developed now. Dutch Slough and Sandmound fought the homeowners out there. And at that time, my dad was on LAFCO, local area formation commission, which approved annexations. And we would talk, and his comments were, well, if they don't want to be part of it, that's fine. We'll just, we'll grant them their wish and they'll stay out. And they're out. And to me, now being on the council, 15, 18 years later, I'm pretty thankful because I drive down, sorry, but I drive down Sandmound and just lose worse. And there'd be a lot of issues for city, but you don't have to worry about. So, Mark.
You guys have started to work on an escape route for when there are major accidents.
That is what redoing East Cypress Road to have it. It'll be a 4 to 6 lane road with a median, and so that's what we're working on. That's why we're trying to. That's one of the reasons we're trying to get. And we let the contract for Knightson Avenue to just west of the canal, and then that gets another section done. And that's why we're pushing so hard on the developer, capital for the next section. Because if that road is improved to standards like we're not going to have the same kind of wrecks. It's not, and if there's a wreck on one side, it's not going to, it shouldn't affect the other side. So traffic flow will be better. If one side does get shut down, I mean, we can then have traffic control we're, we got two in stopped and we're alternating who can go through on a real road, not that slip. So that's why we're trying to push so hard on East Cypress.
So it's homes on the right hand side of going to Bethel Island, of course, that's all staying.
That's all staying. Any other questions?
Is there anything the city can do to encourage development of more entry-level homes? You know, like the 13 to 1,500 square foot houses. I mean, I know that the developers don't want to do those because they don't make as much money on them, but they do something to encourage that. Not low income either.
Well,
just
but that's where it will be. So it's all market. It's all market driven, and if there's a demand for it, the builder will build it. But don't expect to see it unless. But I mean, in our zoning, we do have land zoning for different densities. And I don't know what, I missed one development when I was saying what was going on. Lennar is building at the northwest corner of Cypress and Sellers. Those might be a little bit smaller. They're not, well, I mean, yeah, okay, but that's now marked, but I mean, when they go resale. When they go resale, it's up to you to do what you want. So,
Yeah, right now.
Scott. I don't know, Scott. I don't know. I mean, we have those numbers. But I don't know the number. So, I mean, but to pull a building permit, this is not an exact number, but to go pull a building permit upwards of $90,000. Yeah, that's before you do anything. That's before you start foundation or anything, $90,000. And it's not just all in the city, it's traffic, it's schools, it's Iron House, it's Contra Costa Water and Diablo Water, and it's a lot of agencies. Yes.
What was the proposed timeline to get that 55-acre park done by?
There is no proposed timeline because we don't have the funds.
Okay.
So we're working on the plan. Right. We've applied for grants with the state. We've been denied twice. We have a different grant writer now, so we'll see. But we don't have the funds. And our priority, our biggest priority with our capital funds is East Cypress Road.
There was a development going south of Cypress past Jersey Island Road, behind all those 1 acre properties. For the crash, they were looking at that.
Well, the TI Capital's project
Is TI Capital?
is west of Bethel Island Road. On north of Cypress is west of Bethel Island Road. You see the big berm out there?
Yeah,
All the way to Jersey Island Road.
I'll be back behind.
Listen, Patrick. So that's the top end. It goes south across East Cypress. And then it goes underneath of Summer Lakes. It is, yeah, because that's the only one.
What about cannabis in the city? What's the city doing?
Oh,
with
yeah.
that?
I've heard we have I believe we have an application for a facility in our light industrial area. We'll see. I mean, it comes to the council.
Because I know that brings in a ton of money in Antioch. So that Cocoa Farms does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you how it's gonna go because I don't know. I would not bet money that it passed, but I'm not sure. I mean, that's a tough one for me. Because I mean, if it was 10 years ago, I'd say for sure no vote. Cannabis is different today than it was, in my mind 10 years ago. There's economic development benefits to it. I mean, you mentioned the tax dollars. I mean, there's positives, but there's negatives. It's just a really hard one.
Yeah. Good job.
Well, Macaulay's putting one in downtown.
I've seen some of the, I've toured cocoa farms. I was behind seeing that. Virginia,
Then what is the Oakley getting wine tasting room since Napa and to buy grapes from us from Oakley, and I used to play in the vineyards, but not knowing where the grapes were going to.
so you're the one that damaged my vineyard. So, I mean, that's market driven also. I mentioned Julie Del Barbara Bavalora purchased the building on Second Acme. That's a possibility, a possible use there. She's also talked about putting a caboose, a BNSF caboose or Santa Fe caboose to the east of the bistro. She's talked about that as a possible use. I mean, it's possibilities. It would be probably along the line, maybe a Contra Costa or Cocoa wine tasting, wine, whatever. It'd probably be along those lines, but I mean, somebody's got to bring it.
That's ice house, right?
No, that's not the ice house. She bought. Yeah, the ice house though needs a lot of work. I mean, I've been in it. I looked at mine. It's needs a lot of work. So, but it'd be cool. And I mean, I didn't mention my vision for like downtown, but from the bistro to Rose Avenue on the north side of Main Street, I would like the city to turn that into a park. Yes, it's lineal.
The library?
Nope. Library somewhere else,
Okay.
but I'd like to see all that apart. And definitely want to see like bocce ball in there. And the reason I want to see that is we can run leagues at night and look at the demographics of those players. And after they play, they're going to be coming into the restaurants and bars in downtown Oakley. And then, you know, we can hold tournaments on the weekends. We can bring people in. And maybe like pickleball into there. And I mean, we could do some things there. I mean, we got to have the tracks. We could protect the park from the tracks. But we can do some things there that would make Oakley look better and bring people into the city and to our downtown. And you know, we're fortunate. In my opinion, I'm biased, but I think there's a lot of potential in the city of Oakley. I invest there. You drive through downtown. I know what it looks like. I know what it looks like today. I know what my vision for some of my properties are. I know what we're working on. I showed the
That's the wrap up slide.
maybe I'm going the wrong way. So I showed that picture of downtown. I mean, the Oakley Mercantile was 10,000 square foot building. It's probably going to be pretty much all restaurant. There's just huge potential. If we can expand the logistics center, like I mentioned, I mean I'm going to throw out a number. I just don't quote me on it, but I mean, if we got 2 million square feet where we're at, if we built out that whole area I talked about, there's no reason we couldn't have maybe 7 million square feet of space up in that area. But it starts changing. It starts changing our city. So.
Driving down Highway 4, going down towards Brentwood to Main Street, and the new third hospital. Oh my God, that is huge change. And every time I drive by, I'm like, wow, that is so different.
Thank you.
So from the old to the new, it's awesome.
Thank you, Mark. I mean, you don't know one of my properties.
Good now.
You do now. Wait, Patrick, you still have a question?
Oh, I just wondered if there's anything being done to preserve all the vineyards, you know, is there any kind of land trust, like?
So Patrick, as far as I'm concerned, vineyards are placeholders until it's developed. The hoops I have to go through to be able to farm my vineyards is ridiculous. And I mean, you know, it, but you deal with the state of California and we're dealing with, you know, pesticides, insecticides and all that. What we have to go through, it's just hard. You know, we used to farm around Freedom High School. Before Freedom High School opened, they sat us down and told us how we're going to now farm. And if you look at Freedom High School today, I mean, you know the area. When Freedom High School was built, there was nothing there. It was all open land all the way around, all four sides. And for the most part, all four sides now is homes. And there's a reason for it. And so to me, the vineyards are a placeholder. I mean, if you look at, I mean, this person hasn't told me, but a big farmer in Oakley, when that person quits farming, it passes away. The kids are gonna sell everything. I mean, it's just, I mean, that's the rumors I've heard, but his placeholder looks good, but there's no money.
They can't be.
I get as much or less today for a ton of grapes than I did 25 years ago. But my input costs have gone way up. So it's just not viable.
If there's gonna be an additional Safeway store on site. They've been saying that for years.
There's no Safeway going out. There's no grocery stores going out in Cypress. Safeway owns property at the northeast corner of Solterra. Laurel.
They took my side.
No, they didn't take the site. It
It
felt. It's the same that.
I remember when it popped up.
You're not trying to. But yeah, it's just. So they have been actively talking to the city now. So, I mean, don't take that as they're coming. But they're talking to us more today than they have in a long time. So hopefully we get them. It's right next to the Laurel Fields.
So tanks on this side.
The closed bank is on that side. Former bank.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Any other questions?
One last one. So what about the retail on Cypress in, the Emerson Ranch? They left out a little more.
So there is a plan there. There is there's a map on it. Gas station, convenience store. I said there's no grocery store going in Cypress. There's no big grocery store going down there. There is a spot behind the convenience store for a 27,000 square foot grocery store. There's some retail outbuildings, 1 or 2 drive-throughs approved already in that plan. So
Nobody's applied or.
I believe the gas station will probably go to the gas station convenience store. The developer. Interesting application, modification of their application on that. They came in and requested to put in hydrogen. So. Any other questions?
So your idea would be that just to the right of where the road ends would be for the park area. you're talking about, right?
So yeah, the park that I was talking about, he brings up would start right in here. This would probably be parking and then it would continue down to Rose Avenue. City owns a parcel down at Rose Avenue now.
I think you were mentioning Bachi and stuff. I think Corn will be a good addition. It's blowing up quite a bit.
Who owns that now?
No.
And so I singled out those two, but I mean, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The passive uses. So right here is Nature Properties. Probably about 5 years ago, they got a building, 41 or 42,000 square foot building approved. That building, this is how I describe the building. That's what it looked like. And retail was going to be on the bottom and office on the top with no parking. I think they have 57 to 59 spots. And if you park it at 4 spots per 1,000 square feet, they would need about 160. So they really had no parking, which downtown parking is different. I mean, look at downtown Brentwood. different. It's not the same as a big shopping center, but it was interesting. So right there, it's a downtown gateway monument, but that's our birds in the middle of the road. When that was dedicated, I was down there. And there was a guy walking around and had a set of plans in his hand. I started talking to him. And he goes, yeah, I'm with Nature Properties. Got this all approved. He goes, and so we started talking. I tell him what I do. He asked, well, do you have any funding sources? Any banks that'll lend? I work with somebody, but he couldn't find finance. And I knew, I mean, he's never told me, I've never had any conversation with him, but he can't find financing because that building that looks like that is obsolete. It's obsolete before it's built. He wants a long skinny building to work out. If you're doing retail, I mean, you go to retail spots and all these retail centers, they're, X number of feet wide, 20 feet or whatever, about 50 to 70. They're not 20 feet deep and 70 foot long. It just doesn't work. And I've had other people. What's that?
Indoor shooting range.
That one works. Bocce would work. So it's nature property. Nature Properties owns it. It's where Catino's is owned by some investor out of San Jose now, the land. And then there's another guy that owns a strip from basically where Catino's is to where that building burnt down and Delta CrossFit is. And then past that is owned by City of Oakley. So it's multiple owners. I want the whole strip. I don't see buildings being viable there. I mean, I'm not opposed to buildings, obviously, but I just don't see buildings there viable because I think they're obsolete. And then you're right on the tracks. Mark,
Okay, so the park is, it is by where they have that workout place right now.
it would be that workout.
And then the other where the feed store and the tire place, is that gonna be redone or is that going up?
Well, in my plan, in my vision, it's all gone. It's all park.
It's all done. But this is only.
I mean, this is not official. This is in my business. This isn't for state of vision, City of Oakley. I do meet our city manager periodically about it. This is what I want to see, and it's a direction that I'm pushing into. On this one, I'm not gonna say I'm a lone voice, but it's not everybody else's priority. But to me, if you want to have a viable downtown, you better have a reason to bring people down. And to me, to put a building on that property is a terrible use of time. The buildings just, to me, don't work because the narrowness of what's to be built there. So let's bring people other ways. Any other questions? Jose?
On that park, I didn't see any soccer. Is there any plans to have some
Soccer. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen like overlays, how they'll overlay. On that field, you just didn't see the overlay showing. I know those aren't great soccer fields. I mean, my mother played competitively for quite a while. I've seen good stuff. I don't see a Sunset Park there. But I mean, if you want soccer fields, and you want to come to the meeting. I'm trying to be smart, I say that. But it helps me. Please. I want sports complex there. I don't know. I'm sorry if anybody needs in the horses, but I don't want a clustering facility there. And I'm sorry if you live in Knighton. I don't really care what Knighton residents think. I mean, they're not taxpayers, you know. And when that plan was done, we had a bunch of people in the meetings from Knighton. I wasn't on the council at the time, but we had a bunch of people in the meetings from Knighton pushing a clustering facility. Well, you're in Knighton, you just go do them out there. But that's not open. We're different demographic. So I want to see sports fields.
Could you do like a football / soccer kind of?
Football's not gonna go. I mean, it's how you play, but unfortunately, football's kind of dying.
What about something similar to what they have in Brentwood now, where with the aquatics one?
Probably not there. It's expensive, but, I mean, if I had all the money in the world, I would build a private facility for use, but. Maybe Delta Association of Open Foundation. Work on that.
Now, the mayor of Brentwood was talking about the facility that they're on Creek soccer field. What you think about whether it would be turf or grass? Is it grass? And basically, or maybe it was cost. I don't know. I think you know. Kids going through that whole thing. I think where it's at. Compared to these tournament places, so I was surprised by that. And in this.
I would assume probably grass. I am not sure. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I mean, turf is great in that you don't have to water it, you don't have to blow it.
Wasn't there?
But- But yeah, well, yeah, but so is grass. I mean, I'm not so concerned about injury safety. I don't think. Usually, my opinion. Now the road broker. I'm not worried about injuries. But it's tough to use those fields. In certain summer days. Really hot.
Well, then the grass is wet and muddy in the winter too, so.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no perfect.
you know, like in the winter time, turf is best.
Right.
Summertime, grass is a little better.
They don't have to be for the fun part. Just towards the end of May.
In the May, beginning of June. I want to say. Might be next Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, I know, might be next Wednesday. Or. It would probably be on the website. Any other questions? Thank you.
What an amazing job. And we just thought he was a realtor.
If you ever have questions, I'm at the broker tour in Oakley every Wednesday.
I just want to say I'm honored and super impressed. I don't think there was a question you didn't have answered. And the depths of understanding,
You think?
Virginia's question.
except for the meeting date.
I don't have the date. I mean, I've been in the community all my life, and I've paid attention politically really all my life because that's what I grew up around. And so this is what I like. There was a lot to learn when I got on the council. I was fortunate in my learning curve, or I wasn't having to drink through a fire hose like maybe some other agents, just because I'd been in it and been in the community and work in the community. But I mean, I like it. I pay attention. So.
Great job, Aaron. Thank you. If you haven't already put your business card in the raffle basket,